Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over NVIDIA stock. Let's go over what has happened to the stock, what we can expect moving forward, and all that good stuff. If you enjoyed, please don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you enjoy my technical analysis, thoughts on the charts, updates, etc., but you want it as the market is trading throughout the actual trading day itself with constant updates, I do have a YouTube membership where, again, I constantly update my members. Technical analysis posts, updates, even sometimes news as well. So definitely check it out. Just $3 a month. Link is below at the top of every single YouTube video I upload in the description. So check it out. Again, $3 a month gives you access to the first tier. Mainly includes Tesla, of course, updates on Tesla, sometimes other stocks as well. Or $5 a month gives you access to the second tier, which also includes NVIDIA, plus of course the first tier. So jumping into it, NVIDIA closing the day up actually 1.35%, closing at 112, just above $112 per share, which compared to the market is going to be, a respectable outperformance for a pretty flat day in the markets overall, in my opinion. So yeah, let's talk about it. What does this mean for NVIDIA moving forward? Is this good? Is it bad? Is it bullish? Is it bearish? Well, the stock is kind of in limbo land here. Honestly, it's a little bit in limbo land. Overall, I do want to see more information, I guess you can say, but based off of what we have so far is this, right? Obviously, we had this rising channel on the 1 hour time frame. We broke out of it, and then we've kind of been hugging it for the most of the day. Then you can see we're kind of tapering off of it overall. Now, the good news is the fact that we're still getting supported by this kind of market bias over here. You can see it's still holding the stock up pretty decently, right? But as we're kind of getting this price action to the upside like this, the volume is slowly decreasing, which implies that this either move is a little bit on the more fake end, if you will, or there's a bigger move getting ready to unleash sometime relatively soon. Now, one thing to note is the fact that NVIDIA's max pain zone, which of course is pretty much where most bought options are expiring, the most amount of pain for those bought options is about $110 per share. So if NVIDIA were to kind of dance around its max pain zone, that would essentially bring it down, well, to $110 per share roughly, which from here, honestly, is not that much more. It's only about a 2% drop. Pretty much today's gains, evaporated, but that could be an area to watch for the price to kind of magnetize towards and maybe dance around. Again, it's a shorter week. It's a kind of a lower volume week, it feels like. It's a more boring, slow week, which is fine after the week we had last week. And again, don't forget the markets are closed on Friday, and I personally won't be uploading on Thursday. I'll be out of I won't be home essentially. I'll be on a vacation, but nonetheless, it's kind of in limbo land here, right? Because again, so we did break down out of this rising channel. Now again, when you fall out of the rising channel like this, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to just completely crash right away. It just implies the fact that the uptrend isn't as bullish or aggressive as it clearly was while we're within this rising channel. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't mean it has to do this and then go like this right away, right? We could just go sideways. We can even still go up. It just means that we're not going up anywhere near as quickly and more aggressively and as bullishly as we were. So that's kind of that. So the main levels I've been looking for NVIDIA to kind of, in a more zoomed out approach, honestly, to really kind of get a better grasp are, I want to see 114 to about 115 break, right? That's essentially these two pivot points right here, right over here. These two kind of pivot points right here. I want to see this rough level break, right? Because this will break this and it create fresh higher highs. And if we break that, the next level I'll be looking for is closer to 118, break above roughly 118, and we should, on the daily chart especially, make our way closer to the top end of this resistance line, which also will sit somewhere closer to about the very low 120s. It really just depends on when it happens, but the low-ish 120s. That's the upside. The downside on the flip side, however, is going to be if, in my opinion, NVIDIA starts losing pretty crucial levels down here. So right around this range, right around here. So essentially 109 to about 110, honestly, right around that. If NVIDIA loses 109 to 110, in my opinion, I think we at the very least drop down probably early next week. I don't think it'll happen this week. But if that were to happen, 106 would be my first target, followed by closer to $100 per share, and then closer to about, I believe it was 97. If I take the Fibonacci's from here to here, you can kind of get those levels right here, right? So the first level is 106, which lines up with a 382, which is around 104.5. So around there, we'll just say 105, followed by 100, followed by 97.5, followed by, if the market really wants to go down pretty aggressively, 92 to 91 will be like the worst case scenario, while still actually maintaining a bullish thesis. And the reason I say maintaining a bullish thesis, at least in the 1 hour chart, is because NVIDIA has, of course, broke this high on this push up right here, which is a good break of structure, which is a good sign for the bulls. So that to me tells me that any pullback from here that we honestly might be getting close to getting, I don't know if it happened this week. Probably have to wait until next week, to be completely honest with you. Any pullback, though, however, from this zone down to those levels I mentioned on the Fibonacci should theoretically, of course, be good opportunities for, you know, adding, getting into a fresh position, etc. And it should still be bullish, mainly because that structure did of course break above this high over here with this recent push up that we had not that long ago, pretty much a week ago. I think that's the main way of looking at it right now without overcomplicating it too much. Now, obviously, if we lose those Fibonacci's I just showed and essentially break this low down here, that's obviously going to be unquestionably bearish. But again, these Fibonacci retracements as it stands right now, assuming the market gives it to us and NVIDIA does pull back to, at the very least, one of these levels, ideally, the level I'll be looking for, where I think, you know, you'll get the best bang for your buck if you're lucky enough, would be this range right over here, which will be anywhere between about 98 to as low as $93 per share. That to me is going to be like the sweet spot if we actually get that pullback. I'm not saying we will. Hard to say, of course, if we will or we won't naturally, but that is going to be the sweet spot if opportunity presents itself. But looking over to QQQ, for instance, you can see, you know, it is at a place where, you know, it is a place to start rejecting for the market and at the very least make its way back down for maybe one more leg lower, not necessarily a lower low, but at the very least as some level of retracement. You know, this would be that spot, right? Because the Qs are at a double resistance. You can see here with the trend line and of course that market bias. So let's see how this plays out. Could still be a boring, you know, next day or two, of course, as we finish up this shorter week, but this most likely will start to play out going into next week, especially once earnings begin and, you know, Tesla starts reporting earnings, you know, things like that. Amazon, I think, is even next week. So yeah, next week is when the fireworks most likely will begin. This week, most likely going to be a little bit more of a snooze fest, which sometimes that's perfectly fine. So that's going to be the main way of looking at it. You know, the weekly is starting to look a little bit nicer, but, you know, we'll see how the week actually closes, but it's looking a little bit more promising now, which is a good sign. But yeah, let's just see how this week closes. Let's see how this plays out. Those are the levels to look for to the downside. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.